Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Catherine.
And I'm Haley.
And we are Saturdays Are for the Ghouls,
A podcast on the Podmoth Network.
We cover all things spooky, like horror movies, true crime, the supernatural, and spooky stories.
In the most chaotic way possible.
So join your favorite ghoul friends every Saturday wherever you listen to podcasts.
And become a spooky babe.
So spooky babes, we'll see you
in your nightmares.
Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
The following podcast discusses adult situations and gets very sweary. Sensitive ears beware.
Welcome to the Fuck My Work Life Halloween special. I'm your host, Kay.
And I'm your other host, Jay.
Jay. Shh, shh, shh. Kill. This is our
Halloween special.
Our third annual Halloween special, everybody. Happy Halloween, everybody. This is going to come out, I don't know, like 5 days before Halloween. Hope you guys are enjoying the spoopy season.
Spoopy.
Spoopy. It's spoopy. We talked about in one of our last episodes that we've been trying to watch like scary movies during this season.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of us are big, like, scary movie people, but...
No, because none of them are fucking scary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think we've watched any since we last recorded. I think we kind of gave up.
The movies, yeah.
Yeah, but we did start watching Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah.
Which is by the same dude that did, like, Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor and all those, like, creepy... limited series shows, and this one's been what are we 3 or 4 episodes in?
Yeah, 3 or 4,
and it's
all right.
It's intense.
Yeah,
it's got some. I feel like all of his shows are kind of slow.
Yes,
but still
creepy,
still good and creepy. And this one's been good. There's definitely been some moments we were just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So. I didn't really like the last episode all that much with all the kitty cat stuff, but
I know.
I don't want to give any spoilers. There's just kitty cat stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Which both Jay and I were like, no. But yeah, so I can't really fully say I recommend you guys watch it because we haven't finished it yet. So like it might finish.
I mean, so far it's pretty good. It's not too bad.
No, it's entertaining. It's good. Sorry, go ahead.
I just feel like we're too old for scary shit. Nothing scares us.
Life is scary and work is scary, man.
Yeah, exactly. Just show someone going through their day-to-day, paying bills, going to work, and that'll fucking terrify us.
Right.
But all this ghost and fucking goblins and shit like that, we're just like, meh, that was lame.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think I don't know.
Do they give you bad dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had bad dreams after the last Usher.
Yeah.
That we watched.
Yeah, me too.
No, you did not.
No, I did.
So yeah. So if you guys have been watching some spooky stuff, we want to hear about it. We want to hear all about your Halloween season.
Yeah, give us some what are they? Recommendations.
Yeah, we did get some, and I don't think we've watched any of the ones that were recommended.
I had no idea we got some.
Yeah, I asked a while ago on Threads, and we got some recommendations. And I did. I watched. You didn't watch it, but I watched Totally Killer last weekend.
Ooh, that sounds lame.
It's a new one on Netflix. I think it's Netflix. It was silly. It's basically like a time travel movie slasher, but it was like really campy and silly.
Yeah.
So that one was fun. I enjoyed that one. It's not scary at all, but it's just
Yeah.
entertaining. So yeah, if you guys have recommendations for us to ignore, send them our way.
Yes, please do. And we will promptly ignore them.
We're pretty good at that. And then what else? We've been doing Halloween or fall beer reviews over on TikTok, and I've been posting Halloween workplace outfits over on TikTok. So just kind of keeping the Halloween theme going this month on the things.
Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of fall seasonal beers, we drink.
Because we work.
Do you want to go first, Jay?
I'm drinking Coors Light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not so much.
Yeah, I don't
speaking
do
of
I don't do the seasonal pumpkin spice blah blah blah.
Yeah. Okay, so he's drinking Coors Light. I'm drinking out of Portland, Maine, Shipyard Brewing's Pumpkinhead. And I guess it's just an ale with natural flavor added. It's just basically a pumpkin ale, 4.5% alcohol. It's very pumpkin-y. It's almost a little too sweet for me, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
That's okay. If you guys want to share what you're drinking, you can tag us FMWL Pod and use the hashtag we drink
Because we work.
That's right.
That's right.
So we combed Reddit for some spooky workplace stories, hauntings and poltergeists and such that happen in the workplace. I know a lot of podcasts are doing like their spooky things, but we wanted to keep it on theme, right?
Yep.
We wanted to relate it to the workplace. Ooh. We all know work is scary enough.
Back to work.
Yeah.
Why haven't those been filed?
Did you get the memo?
Can you work late tonight?
Let's touch base and circle back on the whatever. Big picture, agile.
Bigger words, more stuff.
Yeah, work is scary in and of itself. The fact that we have to do it on a daily basis is terrifying. But it's even more terrifying when you have to deal with ghosts at work.
Spooky stuff.
Yeah. So we've got I think I've found some pretty good stories from Reddit. So I guess we can just get into that shiz.
Let's do it.
You're going to go first, Jay.
Okay. This one is from Bitterly Radiant. I used to work at a psych hospital in Michigan on their children's unit. Already scary. I worked third shift, and the way the unit was set up meant I was alone at the end of a long hall, behind a desk, but where I could see the nurse's station.
Did you see scary little twins standing at the end of that hall every night?
Yeah, it was the children's unit. The kids' doors had to stay shut unless they had a sitter. And that night, we were pretty emptied out on the unit, so all doors were closed. As I sat down from finishing rounding on the patients, the patient phone rang. It was on a desk separate from the one I sat at and could only have calls come in if the nurse's desk transferred it, as most had their calls screened. It was now 3 a.m. and there was no way anyone was transferring any calls on purpose. I answered but was met with silence. I went to the nurse's station, but the desk was empty. Okay. The nurse came back from the back hall, commenting on how messy the supply closet had been, but she just cleaned it. I went back with her to look simply because I wanted to see if she'd really been back there. It looked amazing, for the record.
Well, good. Well, good. I'm glad the storage closet looked good. Maybe she disturbed some ghosts when she was back there moving shit around.
Don't touch the bleach!
I put that there for a
Where's
reason.
my magic eraser? I went back to my desk thinking it must have been a fluke. A few minutes pass and the phone rings again. I go to answer it, and again, I'm met with silence.
There's something creepy about silence. And then there's a long silent pause, and then you just hear, "We've called you to talk about your extended warranty."
I could see the nurse talking to another staff member at their station. I unplugged the phone thinking something was wrong and told myself to remember to plug it back in the morning. I went to sit and the phone rang again. I slowly picked it up and was met again with silence, except for what sounded like really soft humming.
By a kid?
Fuck that shit.
That shit's so creepy.
It was then that I about lost it because I heard sudden loud crying from one of the patient rooms. Thinking someone was having a night terror, I ran to the room that the sound was coming from and turned the light on. It was one of the empty patient rooms.
Ooh.
I wish I was kidding. I quit my job that day. No thanks. Since leaving, I've heard so many terrifying stories from that place. Ring around the rosy.
Yeah. I just thought of something that happened very recently in my workplace. This is not paranormal at all, but it's just a funny story. Kind of related to spooky stuff. Got locked out of the office again.
Oh.
To the point where the maintenance people basically had to come and tear the handle off the door because for reasons. So there's like this gaping splintered hole where the door handle used to be.
Yes.
On our office door now. And I was told somebody went and put a picture of Jack Nicholson from The Shining in the hole. I really hope it's still there when I
know.
Get back to the office, because that's fucking awesome. But yeah, I thought of that while you were telling that story for some reason.
Yeah, you know what else is spooky? When the maintenance men at your job have to beat a door handle out of a door.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I don't know.
Well, the whole reason it's been broken, I think I talked about how I got locked out a couple episodes ago. And everyone that comes and looks at it is like, this is the wrong door handle for this door. Okay. And then the guy told us the last time, he was like, yeah, they won't let us buy anything new. So because they couldn't spend $10-15 on a door handle, now they're going to have to buy a whole new fucking door.
They're not going to buy a new door.
No, they're just going to...
They're going to jerry-rig it somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our next spooky story is from user No Human Ape, and they had the following experience. I worked prior to the pandemic, at a cafe that was part of an old hotel. I would never say that I felt creeped out, so I don't chalk this up to any kind of feeling that might influence what I saw. Hell, I don't even have a strong belief in ghosts. Anyway, we have a front of house dining space and a back of house kitchen area. Next to the kitchen entrance, there is a hall that leads to bathrooms and around to the hotel's front desk. It was a slow afternoon, so I went back to talk with the kitchen staff. I was leaning against the doorway, half in the kitchen, half in the hallway. I wasn't planning on staying long, so my attention was split between keeping an eye on the dining room and talking to people in the kitchen. While I'm talking, I register movement out of the corner of my eye, which seemingly involuntarily got me to look over my shoulder and quickly follow a gentleman as he walked past me down the hall.
Have you tried our continental breakfast?
My attention quickly went back to looking into the kitchen and then immediately back to the hall. But when I looked back, nobody was there. In my mind, I immediately felt like this was odd. I should have still seen someone either moving down the hall towards the hotel front desk or would have seen one of the bathroom doors closing slowly because of the hydraulics. Since I saw neither, I felt compelled to investigate and rule out several possibilities while I had the opportunity to do so. So I walked down the hall towards the front desk, nobody there, and opened both bathroom doors.
Hello? Hello?
Nobody inside. It is highly unlikely that someone of that age could have gotten out of the building without me seeing them in the time that I acted. They would have had to have started to full-on run to get through the lobby and out the door. And having worked in this space for more than 3 years, I have never encountered an adult that spontaneously decided to sprint to the door and run away. The weird thing about it is that the image in my mind of the man felt and feels more like an imprint, like it was a memory as it happened, as opposed to me actually seeing it with my eyes, if that makes any sense. But it is so clear that it couldn't have simply been a light trick or shadow or whatever. I can still imagine a very clear person. I can say what they were wearing, how tall they were, and likely their average age based on clothing, how they held themselves, and how they walked. It was one of the more weird things I've ever encountered. Spooky.
Excuse me, ma'am. The toilet's clogged in the men's restroom.
I just murdered that toilet, if you know what I mean. I wish I really want to encounter a ghost someday.
Yeah?
I feel like it'll scare the shit out of me, but I really wanna.
Monkey.
Oh. I encounter a ghost every day. Ghost the cat, everybody. Ghost the podcat. You're up, Buster.
All right.
We're going tit for tat here.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the right term.
This one is from Lumia 17. I worked at a major supermarket near one of the major skirmish points from the Battle of Atlanta during the U.S. Civil War.
Skirmish? Is that like a fight?
That's right.
All right.
We joked that we had a ghost many times as we would open coolers and find that something from a shelf was sitting in the middle of the floor. Regardless of where some items were, even back against the wall, we would find them placed front and center. That's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Other times, we would have the swinging traffic doors out of the department slam open, but there would be no one, and no amount of airflow would cause them to move on their own. Things would go missing literally after we turned our backs to it. Literally. But it would reappear a bit later, having maybe moved an inch. It was all in good fun, until whatever was there ran across a new employee. It did not like her whatsoever. But then again, neither did anyone else. She had a horrible personality. We rolled our eyes as she was pretty paranoid, but then we started seeing glimpses of things over the next 2 years. While placing things on a peg rack, she finished and we heard the collapse of one rack after another. She was adamant that she hadn't overloaded them, and we cleaned things up. She was right. Some had even been empty, and the pegs were designed to not come out of the holes unless forcibly bent or maneuvered in the correct way. She had shelves collapse on her for no reason. In one case, a little wooden shelf for rolls had all three shelves drop as she approached to fill them. Ooh.
That's crazy.
Even the shelves don't like the bitch.
Well, it's the ghost.
Yeah, well, it was usually pretty easy to dislodge the cheap little metal holders and cause one shelf to drop. But they would fall with the shelf. When we went to help, she still had not touched the fallen shelves. However, the metal holders were still in place and unmoved.
Oh. So ghosts can just like defy physics too, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they walk
Just
through walls
checking.
and shit.
That's true.
The big one was the one I witnessed while standing right next to her. We were grabbing backstock to put out, and she exclaimed, "Ow!" And I heard something plastic hit the floor. It was a shiv. No, I'm kidding. A plastic bottle of sauce had fallen from a shelf behind her and right above her head. I shrugged it off. Then another, "Ow!" Ow! And the sound of something hitting the floor. A package of empty plastic containers. At this point, she is looking around to see if there is anything. I take a step back and look as well. It's possible things were on the lip of the shelves and just fell due to movement, being bumped, etc.
Only on her.
Yep. Soon enough, I hear another "Ow!"
Meow.
and there is a big full jug of oregano now on the floor, and her back is to the empty space on the shelf. She begins to swear and ask if I see this. I immediately went to HR because she was swearing. No, I'm kidding. They didn't write that.
Don't swear in the workplace.
I nod, but assure her it's probably logical. She claims there is something here and it has been out to get her. She then invokes the name of Christ that she will not be harmed by any spirit. At this point, as I am watching, a full box of styrofoam drink cups was sitting flat on top of the shelf against the wall. Moved in an alarming diagonal line with some force, it beamed her square in the head.
Dang.
She shut up, and I moved her out of the shelves and told her to get some water and air. Best to get some space.
Yeah.
Turned back, and nothing. I finished grabbing the stuff, and nothing. My coworker would transfer to another store soon afterward. Then things settled down again. Occasionally pranks, but nothing targeted at anyone from my department, at least.
Damn. That ghost really didn't like her.
Yeah.
I wonder if she was like a really bad person. Maybe they were like enemies in a past life and he recognized her soul and he was like, bitch, I'm gonna get you. All right. Our next story is from Moogle2468. And they say, not necessarily a ghost story, but an unexplained incident. Used to work in an old village pub in the UK. We always joked that the pub was haunted, and mildly spoopy things happened. I love it when people use spoopy.
Spoopy.
Like seeing a fleeting shadow behind you in the mirrors, things inexplicably going missing, a weird vibe in the cellar, but all things that could be put down to overactive imaginations, to be honest. Never really took it seriously, but I enjoyed the stories. One night, it was my turn to close and lock up, as the live-in manager wanted to stay over at his girlfriend's. Was a really quiet evening, just a few regulars, and I was cleaned up, cashed up, and locked up within 20 minutes of last orders. My boyfriend had been in that evening and waited till I finished so he could walk me home, which was round the corner from the pub. Next morning, I get a phone call off the manager, shouting, ranting, and absolutely bollocking me for leaving all the glasses out. Couldn't make head nor tail of what he meant, so hung up and walked round. Every single glass had been taken off the shelves and out of the glass store and packed along the bar and the floor of the bar area. Literally hundreds of glasses, all perfectly lined up. The manager was absolutely fuming and trying to sack me while I protested my innocence. We pulled up the security camera footage, and sure enough, you could see me lock up and switch off all the lights and then leave with my boyfriend. We scoured the footage but couldn't make out anything in the dark, and the sun rose and the glasses were all out. You could then see the manager come in and start calling me all kinds of unflattering names. We went back and forth but couldn't pick up anything on the camera. Maybe someone with an unaccounted set of keys to the pub pulled an elaborate and time-consuming prank in absolute darkness with no torch or light and managed not to set off the alarms or open any of the doors. Still have no idea what happened to this day, but I did get a pint on the house for helping the manager put all the bastarding glasses back. That shit's creepy.
Yeah.
Right? Like ghosts, you know, moving things around or like seeing a shadow out of the corner of your eye, that kind of thing. It's spooky, but the like poltergeist shit, like that part of Poltergeist scared me the most was when they walked into the kitchen and all the chairs were just like fucking stacked on top of each other.
That old movie Poltergeist?
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Oh man. They'd leave the kitchen for half a second, walk back in, and all the dining room chairs were like stacked up on each other on the table, just kind of like balancing. That shit creeps me out.
Yeah, that would be fucking creepy.
Yeah.
crepe.
Crepe.
It's so crepe.
Oh, David, it's crepe. Don't be a disgruntled pelican, David.
This one is from Shipubu.
Shipubu.
Shipubu. Another weird story. I worked for a major railroad. My territory was among the earliest railroad lines in the U.S., started in the 1840s. It's a relatively level sub, but we do have a fairly long, steep grade between two towns. One cold night in winter, my train got hit by the hotbox detector. This is a device that senses overheated bearings as a train passes over it. I was like a hotbox detector.
Lot of people died building those old railroads too, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm sure everything's just haunted along there.
Yep. So we stop at the base of the hill, and I walk back to the indicated axle number to check it out. It seems fine. So I check the next 10 or so on either side per the rules. Finding nothing overheated or stuck handbrakes, I started walking back to the head end. The snow had melted and froze into ice crust, so every step I took was loud and distinct. After a little bit, I started hearing another set of steps behind me. Assuming a manager had come out to test me, I turned around to cuss them out for bugging me, but I didn't see anyone. I thought maybe it was an echo or something and resumed walking. After 2 or 3 steps, I heard boots in the snow right behind me and to my left on the shoulder of the ballast. I ignore it, but it's clearly not my walking rhythm. I can hear the ballast under my feet, but only soft cracking steps behind me. I stop, turn around, and this time I hear 3 clear steps after I stopped. I hurried up to my engine and told my engineer to get going. A couple years later, I was researching an interesting old pump house I had found while hiking and stumbled on a newspaper article about a Civil War veteran and engineer on my railroad who, along with his fireman, was killed when his locomotive's boiler exploded at the same location I heard those steps in the snow. I was uncomfortable at the time, but after reading about that accident, I felt bad if it was indeed a spirit stuck there. But at least he had 120 years of overtime waiting for him.
Silver lining. Oh, hot box. Pump house. All right, our next spooky workplace story is told by LML40. My uncle, who is 50, damn, that's old. Just kidding. Worked for a large department store in Nottingham, England, in the costume jewelry section. The department store, oh my god, how do you say this word? Debenhams, Nottingham, is a huge building over 180 years old. Some of the costume jewelry stock was kept in the higher, disused floors, cramped together with stock from other sections. As my uncle was gathering jewelry to fill the shelves with one day, he said he heard a very large bang behind him. He, of course, turned around to see what he described as a sag old hag, dressed in 18th century type rags, who emitted a vile smell. He also felt a great sadness and impending doom. He got out of there as quickly as he could. None of his colleagues had ever seen this lady, but some had experienced knocks, bangs, and feelings of oppression. My uncle left Debenhams not long after, and will still tell this story after a few whiskeys. I wonder what the smell was. Maybe it was just a homeless person that wandered in.
Could be. The next workplace haunting story is from Reddit user Eliza Butt 24. I work with kids, and the office is comprised of a small computer room, 2 rooms that have sensory toys and other things, a big area we call the rec room, and a gym that is separated from the rest of the space by a door. To get to the main bathroom in the building, we have to go through the gym, down a long hallway, and finally turn left to reach them. The entrance to our office is quite far away from the other businesses using space in the building. So it can be kind of inconvenient when trying to bring your client all the way down to the bathroom. Ever since I started working there, being in that space gives me the worst feeling. It doesn't help that the office isn't in the nicest area, so we have to deal with drug activity and crime while trying to keep our kids safe. Now I can't remember to breathe. But there's something more, something else that makes me and a few of my other coworkers uneasy. We have experienced feeling like we're being watched, especially if we have to stay there after dark when the rest of the businesses in the area are closed. We work with the kids after school hours, so sometimes we can work as late as 8 p.m. I have heard noises in the rec room where our toys are located. Things like Lego pieces falling out of the bin onto the floor, light-up toys going off on their own, footsteps coming towards the computer room, and whispering. While this can be spooky, I have often tried to reassure myself that some of the things I hear are from elsewhere in the building or outside. However, there have been 2 instances in particular that I cannot explain away. Firstly, I was in the gym with a client who was riding a tricycle around the room and giggling. I had left the door that connects the rec room to the gym open because I was working alone and wanted to be able to hear if someone came through the front door. We were having a good day when suddenly I heard a massive crash that sounded like it came from the main sensory toy room, just off the rec room. The noise sounded like someone was trashing the room, throwing heavy things around and smacking on the walls.
Jeez.
This went on for what felt like a while, and my client stopped riding around and stared at the door to the gym, looking scared. I told them to stay where they were and slowly peeked through the door. Nothing. No one was there. Nothing had been knocked over. I went back into the gym to reassure my client, but they started to cry. So I gathered our things and we left. The next experience I have to tell you is more sinister and has made me genuinely afraid to be there alone. I was working by myself once again at around 6 p.m. It was fully dark out, but there were still a few cars in the parking lot, so I knew I wasn't totally alone in the building. I was wrapping up for the night and went to the bathroom before I left. The bathroom has 2 stalls in it, and to access the room you have to have a key. The door is incredibly heavy and makes the most obnoxious creaking noise when opened. Picture every scary movie door you've ever seen. Anyway, I was in one of the stalls where the door to the bathroom opened. I heard someone walk in, enter the stall next to me, and close the stall door. I didn't hear any movement from the person after that, but I don't exactly pay much attention to the bathroom activities of other people, so I went about my business. I finished up, left the stall, and noticed that the other stall, the one that I had clearly heard someone enter, was unoccupied. The stall door was wide open, and absolutely no one could have been hiding in there. Not only that, but if that person had left before me, I would have definitely heard the main door to the bathroom open and close. It was the only entrance or exit from the bathroom. I was understandably freaked out. So I washed my hands as fast as I could and left. I turned off the lights and closed the door behind me. A second after the door latched, I heard a massive bang on the door coming from the inside. It was like someone had kicked it. I took off running down the hallway, grabbed my stuff, and left.
That's fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Pin XX Death had a ghostly encounter working as a nurse. They write, I am a nurse, working mainly night shifts in a home for the elderly. There's 2 of us in the building in the night. Each has their own floor, and there are 80 elderly in our home. Recently, we've had a lot of how do you say that? Palliative?
Palliative?
Palliative? Recently, we've had a lot of palliative patients, patients awaiting death, and badly sick patients. We've also had a few deaths in the last month, as expected, of course. As of late, night shifts have become unbearable. Many of our patients scream throughout the night and barely get any sleep, ranting about seeing figures standing over them or talking to them, calling their names and saying hello.
Hello?
Tonight, I was sitting in our little nurse point, in the dark, my desk light turned on, overseeing halls in 3 directions, typing something into my computer. I heard a woman say hello to me.
Hello?
I looked up. Everything was still and eerie. I went out and checked the halls. Still nothing. I brushed it off. Maybe I was tired. I sat back down. Not a minute passes and someone grabs my shoulder. I jump out of my skin. There was no one behind me, no one near me. I nearly peed myself. I ran quickly down to my coworker. She was sitting pale in her nurse station, completely still. She looked at me and told me she had someone calling her name out of the quote-unquote death room. That's what we call the room where the dead are brought to await funeral services. She said she watched the door, which is tightly shut, slowly open, and then she heard the call. Needless to say, we're both scared to death, huddled in the common room, going out to rooms together. I don't like that one.
This spooky workplace story is told by Independent Pack 506. So I worked in a restaurant in Wyoming that was where the town's original train station was located back in 1894. The original building was moved across the street, and they replaced the train station with a bigger building in 1912, which is the building that I work in now. I've been getting weird feelings since I started working there. I know the building has a lot of history, and I feel the presence of different entities there for sure. I was scared out of there a few weeks back just from the heavy, overwhelming presence that seems to get worse when it's late and you're alone. But tonight, I was locking up the building. I went to lock the event storage space but realized one of the cooks left his bike in there. I went to grab him to pull his bike out so I could lock up. He went in, grabbed his bike, and walked out, leaving me alone in this room. I shut the door behind him and locked it. I walked through the room to the other side to turn off the light before walking through a swinging door that leads to the event dining area. As I turn the light off, I hear a raspy, disgruntled voice loudly and clearly say,
Mommy, Daddy.
Ew.
from the other side of the room. I'm not kidding you. I ran so fast out of that room through the building that I felt like I teleported. I found the cook, and he walked through to see if anyone was in there, and there was no one. It was just us two, and one more server that was in the other side of the building rolling silverware. It was a very evil-sounding voice. Definitely not a child. I should not have ran like a terrified child, because now I feel like it's going to just try to scare me more next time. It felt like it was intentionally waiting for me to be alone and for me to turn the lights off. Y'all, I'm ready to quit because I'm sensitive to entities and can feel them. This just feels evil.
What a weird choice of words for an evil entity. Mommy, Daddy.
Mommy, Daddy.
Maybe it's Chucky. It's
Yeah,
a
I know. You want to play?
it's a little evil doll. Okay, and our last spooky workplace story today is from Reddit user deleted.
Nice.
I work with the elderly and spent a few years working in a specialized dementia facility. At one point, we had 2 residents, a man and a woman, who worked at a company called Air Products together for 20 plus years. However, due to the dementia, they did not remember each other. The female resident's dementia was very advanced. Physically, she got around great. However, she was incapable of forming sentences or even words sometimes without it coming out complete gibberish. Fast forward a few months, the male resident passed away. I was at the back of the room while the residents were watching a movie while the female resident walked by and sat next to me, something she never did. I see her staring off into the back of the room where no one is, and I ask her what she's up to. She looks at me and clearly says, "That's the guy from Air Products." In my 2 years of knowing this resident, I have never heard more than 2 words come out of her mouth clearly, let alone a full sentence like that. I asked her where she saw him, and just like that, her words were back to being jumbled and incomprehensible. Creepy. Well, everybody.
That was our spooky Halloween episode.
Yes, we hope you enjoyed the spooky stories. If you haven't listened to them already, go listen to our Halloween Special 1 and Halloween Special 2.
That's right.
You'll find them in October of 2021 and October of 2022.
You don't say.
I think they're just titled Halloween Special. So
I think so.
yeah, I think the first one's Halloween Special, the second one's Halloween Special 2022, and this one will be Halloween Special 2023. We hope you guys all have a spooky Halloween. I was going to say season, but at this point, it's almost just Halloween. So
Almost.
have a good, safe Halloween, everybody.
Yep.
And we'll talk to y'all later.
Bye, fuckers.
Love you, fuckers. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Fuck My Work Life podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please consider rating us on your favorite podcast platform. We'd love to hear your workplace stories, so send them our way to fmwlpod@gmail.com or leave us a message at 310-818-3273. Follow us on TikTok, Threads, and Instagram at fmwlpod. You can find all our links in the show notes. Until next time, bye, fuckers.